Is the lighting good? Is everything fine?
Yeah.
Okay. To a very rainy vlog on this Friday afternoon. Paige is unamused because it's fucking raining. I'm unamused because it's fucking raining. I can't go outside and walk dogs all day. And we're stuck inside, and because the weather's changing again, I feel my sinuses flaring up, which is fucking annoying also. So, we're gonna start off this vlog by answering a question from the audience. This question is from Jordan Michelle. I've known Jordan Michelle for quite a while. She lives in Savannah, Georgia, and runs a fantastic pet sitting business. If you need pet sitting out there in Savannah, Georgia, if you're from there and listening to this vlog, hit her up. Name of the business in Savannah that Jordan runs is Sit, Stay, Play, Savannah. Check them out on Facebook. Check them out on Instagram. He asked me a question on March 11th, and I opened it and totally forgot to reply back to it. Sorry. So we're going to read that question and we're going to answer it. And we're also going to read another question that she asked me last night. We're going to answer it. So she said, okay, I know it was a long time ago, but you of course met Dusty and worked with him once. Dusty is one of her dogs. I just thought of this and don't remember ever discussing it. I'm obviously not a trainer, but in vet medicine, I deal with aggressive behavior enough. Most dogs are obvious when they are nervous or about to bite, but Dusty was always different, and I wonder if his behavior was more normal than I think, or what kind of aggression it would have been considered. Back in his heyday, he didn't like any men really, and a few females, but he would literally go up to them seemingly friendly, tail wagging, asking for pets, and he is one of the most confident dogs I ever met. And even though some people are against racing dogs, he was socialized with humans. He was just a working dog in some manner. But he hated if anyone stared at him in the eyes. I'd leave him at pet sitters and he would be nice to everybody. So I always wonder if that was some form of resource guarding over me. I've just never really seen dogs that are like, hey, be my friend. And then when someone tries to pet them, lunge at them and try to bite them. Do you see this often? What is that considered? Now let's start off. So didn't do a ton of work with Dusty. We did a little bit of recall training with him, but it was like right before she was moving, so we didn't get to do a ton of training, this, that, whatever. But I did meet him, and he was a very typical greyhound, fairly confident dog, but a little bit untrusting of new people, you could tell. And here's the thing, right? So sometimes people can misconstrue these types of behaviors because of what she described, which is they go up to a person and their tail is wagging, which we misconstrue as happy, and they may be kind of all up in their business looking like they want to be giving affection or receiving affection and stuff like that. And then when somebody goes to do something to them, they bite, right? Now, I try to equate a lot of these types of behaviors to things I see between dog-on-dog interaction, right? And when dogs do this same type of behavior, we have to look at a couple of different things, right? So first and foremost, the tail wagging. We talk about this all the time. Tail wagging is not happy, right? Tail wagging just means the dog is stimulated. Now, dog can be stimulated for many reasons. Dog can be stimulated because they're happy and excited, right? The dog can be stimulated because they're kind of boosting their confidence and expecting some conflict and excited about that. Some dogs kind of thrive off of that. Or they could just be in an aroused state of mind because they just finished doing something high energy. It could be anything, right? But we're not going to misconstrue that. We're just going to say he's in a state of arousal. And then what we'll see with dog-on-dog interaction is the first time that they meet, they go up to the dog with that kind of forward posture, and they get kind of really in their space and stuff and maybe look like they want to play. But we also know that dogs don't really think that way, right? Everything to dogs is, to some extent, hierarchy, is challenge to some extent, and seeing where they can kind of get away with pushing boundaries and stuff, right? And some dogs can misconstrue that with people as well, right? So when I look at something like that, I look at if we weren't properly giving Dusty direction before he had training on him and stuff, He was constantly in a state of arousal around new people because he's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm stimulated. I'm getting myself ready. And then he goes up to investigate. And the second those people do something that he determines he doesn't like, he checks them, right? And does a discipline bite or whatever it may be, right? So we talk about this all the time. We posted a video about this the other day with Oscar, I believe, where we kind of discussed the confidence boost that the dogs get in these kinds of states of mind, right? This is why we give so much direction to dogs in new situations, because I don't want my dog going into new scenarios or meeting new people or meeting new dogs in this confident headspace of deciding if they're okay or not. I want to, before I allow that interaction to happen, get my dog into a slightly more submissive state of mind, ask them to do something. If they don't do it because they're distracted by that person, dog, place, whatever it may be, discipline them for that, further putting them into a submissive state of mind, so that once I go to allow that interaction, I've already told them, you don't really have to be concerned about this person. You don't really have to be concerned about this dog, etc., etc., etc. So though it seems unpredictable, the only reason why it seems unpredictable is because we're misconstruing the behaviors that the dog is exhibiting as they're happy and they want affection, which is just not the case. He's stimulated and he's immediately going up and challenging somebody to decide if he's okay with them or not, which is why the bite is happening when the person goes to do something that is perceived by the dog as weak, which is soft attention and stuff like that. So that's the first question here. And to further answer the question, this is 10 times more common than you would think. We see dogs do this kind of stuff all the time, and that really is the root of the behavior, is misunderstanding the behavior and not giving enough direction. Next question, do you guys have any videos on how to approach fearful dogs? We have a couple newer girls at work that aren't great about it, and I would love to have some stuff to show them on how to approach dogs. I tried to explain to them that even the hold your hand out to let them sniff you is dumb because they can smell you from across the room and even further than that, and forcing them to take treats out of your hand isn't necessary either if they are entirely anxious or even aggressive. But he explained things so well, and I was hoping that you may have some videos to explain that. Same deal. She's kind of referring to, again, she works in the vet field, and vets and vet techs notoriously make mistakes when it comes to trying to be best friends with the dogs when they're too scared or too nervous or whatever it may be. So this is the same concept as what we discussed with Dusty, right? When you have fearful dogs or nervous dogs, they don't want the attention. They're not perceiving the attention as positive. They're perceiving that attention as extremely aversive, extremely challenging, and again, when you get into the hierarchy of things, weak. So what happens when you invade a dog's space and do something that's perceived to them as very pushy and dominant and challenging, but then you go to try to do something soft that's perceived as very weak? Discipline bite, right? Dog tries to check you, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble over it. When we work with dogs here, when we get new dogs that come in for board and trains, these dogs are almost 100% of the time really stressed out initially because they're in a new place, they're around new people, their parents are leaving them, they have no clue what's going on. And for our first couple of days that they're here, we're not really giving a lot of affection. There's not a lot of interacting that's happening. You know what does happen? We grab the leash, we take the dog wherever we need to take them, we do whatever we need to do in that moment, and typically handling things that you would typically do as a vet, if you remove them from the situation and do something that's a little bit more kind of assertive with the dog, right? And then you go to interact with them in a way that's not really soft and weak, and you do it in a more assertive manner and just get the job done, you eliminate 90% of the issues you may have. The dog starts to see you as a little bit more of a leader, and you don't run into problems because of it. I think we have some videos on this we'll pull up, obviously, but hope that helps. Today what we're going to do is we're just going to pick a couple of different commands to just start introducing that pressure in with. Same deal, just like last time, I'm going to keep today pretty non-invasive, you know, keep it nice and easy for her to start. Sit. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start layering the e-collar pressure into all of this. This is going to be almost exactly the same as what we did last time. I'm going to be just working on really, really low levels here, and anytime I incorporate the leash pressure, I'll be adding e-collar pressure into it as well. So the concept is this means the same thing as this. So as I'm applying steady pressure, continuous pressure will be on the e-collar. It'll turn off the second I release the leash pressure. And I'm going to start with just the heeling and just see what we get. Come. Good job. Good job. Okay. All right, so next we're going to start adding some sits into this. Same concept. I'm going to add my verbal command, sit. If she does it, great. If she doesn't, e-collar pressure, leash pressure, off. Okay. Sit. Good. Okay. Sit. Good. Okay. Sit. Good. Okay. Sit. Good. All right, next we're going to do the same thing with the place command. Come on. Place. Good. You're so smart. Okay. Come on. Place. Nice. Okay. Place. Good. Good job. Okay. As I'm switching between these commands here, I'm only using the e-collar for whatever one I'm working on. So like in between these place commands now, I'm not worried about the leash walking or anything. Same deal with the sits or vice versa. Kind of isolate each individual step and then put it all back together. Place. Good. Okay. And then with the place command, the only expectation is 4 paws on the bed. So if she sits, great. Come on. But if I need to use the e-collar, button will come off as soon as she gets on it.
I use my body.
Yep. Place. Good. Okay. All right, we're gonna let her hang out for a minute here, and then I'll have you start jumping into some of this. Questions on that?
No.
Really straightforward.
Yeah.
So just same thing as with the leash. So. So we'll give her a second here, and then you're going to go through all 3 of those steps as well. So you'll start with just the walking. With that, I try to keep my leash as loose as possible, and I really use those like 180 drills. And she's fine. If she wants to explore, I don't care. So you'll use those 180 drills, obviously, to keep the focus on you. And if you do need to use the leash pressure, it's just e-collar pressure, release, right?
So hold it down.
Yeah, we're holding, and then we're releasing. So simultaneously. Yeah, so there's a lot of different philosophies on it. So a lot of people will use like a continuous tapping, which is the same function, right? So if you look at the science behind what we're using, we're implementing negative reinforcement, which means you're applying pressure, then releasing pressure to reinforce something. You could do that with tapping too, where it's like tap, 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 tapping stops. You know what I mean? But they're designed to use continuous pressure. You know, it's simply a little bit easier and a little bit more clear using it that way to them. So, and then you'll see we'll transition from using negative reinforcement to positive punishment, which would be once we have all of this taught and really established, we give a command. If she does it, great. If she doesn't do it, no tap, right? We're giving a single correction to decrease the likelihood of her blowing us off, right? So we'll get there, obviously. But for right now, obviously, just the continuous pressure with it. So she's doing a pretty good job of staying with you now. So what I want you to do next here is you're gonna start testing this with change in direction. So kind of go one way, then do kind of a sharp turn the other way and see if she turns with you or not. Perfect. Nice. And right now, side, I don't really care so much about as long as the attention's on you. Excellent. All right, go ahead and come to a stop. Okay, so what you're gonna do next here, you can go ahead and go nice and loose on your leash here. You're gonna add your sits in. So you're gonna walk around, no heel position or anything like that. She can be wherever she wants to. Come to a stop, give your verbal sit command with no leash pressure. As long as she does it, fantastic. If she doesn't, hold button down, help her into position, release when she gets into the sit. From there,
She sits with the verbal, we're good.
Totally
If she
fine.
doesn't, then correct.
e-collar and leash, yes. And then once she stabilizes, you can just tell her okay to mark the end of that sit and then just walk her to another spot.
Sit.
Let's do 2 more.
Sit. Okay. Sit.
All right. You're gonna do the place command next. With this, just create some distance, about 3 to 4 feet away or so.
Place.
Then let her stabilize for a second. Then tell her okay and release her off. Perfect. The only things that we're worried about working on right now is adding your e-collar to your walk, to your sit, and to your place command, obviously, right? If you can get those things looking really good, then that's a step in the right direction, obviously. And then what we'll do is we'll add it into our come. We still need to work on the down, obviously, but we'll kind of save that for closer to the end, because if we can get everything else really, really good, that'll allow us to work on the big problems, you know, and then down will just be kind of like an extra thing we add in at that point. And then we can start proofing this stuff and getting the ball rolling. But she looks really good. You know, she's progressing nicely for just 2 sessions, obviously. Sit. The tighter you hold the leash, the more intense the responses will typically be, right? Because there's more restraint involved, which will create more frustration.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, I'm assuming you guys have worked some leash walking, a couple things like that. So typically what I'll do is I'll pick one expectation to hold the dog to, and I'll try to implement the e-collar to enforce that specific thing, right? So sit's typically a pretty standard thing that regardless of how much training a dog has had, you could typically, you know, typically get them to do it to some extent, even if that means them, there we go, like laying down and stuff, like I'm okay with that. But you want to get their brain focused on like one specific thing, you know? So one thing I encourage everybody with, once we've started on the e-collar, hello. So see, we're loose on the leash. We're giving him an expectation right now, obviously, and you want to have that e-collar at the ready to enforce that specific thing. So right now, all I'm looking for is if he gets up out of that sit position.
Okay.
And if he does, what we would do is just mark with no and give our correction for that. And you see, because I'm no, sit. Then I give him a second to restabilize. No, sit. Really press up against you there. No. Sit. There we go. You see, we're able to kind of get them focused in little by little with that. But a lot of it comes down to, you got to almost stay calmer than the dog, obviously, and then you have to give them something very clear to do. No. Sit. And then just kind of manage that at that point then. And you see, you can reduce the arousal in association with that very quickly once you kind of get them focused in on something like that. So, okay.
Thank you.
Little precursor before the lesson for you there.
Thanks.
No problem. What's he up to?
Which
Yeah.
he's doing really well on the walks. He's a little spazzed
Sure.
when we first start, but then eventually he calms down, and he's getting better.
Yep.
He's better with Lucy at home. He's learning boundaries with her better.
Cool.
Jackson, sit. But we've been practicing with the bed. I have a bed upstairs and downstairs, and we go back and forth between the two. And he goes right to it.
Good.
When he
Good.
comes into the room. So he's doing really well.
Yeah. I think a lot of, I'm still kind of itching for some nice weather so we could spend a little bit more time outside with him, obviously. Yeah. But a lot of it is going to come down to just being really consistent about, obviously, where you're giving your correction with your e-collar, and then starting to hold him more accountable for it. Because we've been working with this healing for a little while, and we've seen each time that we have been able to go outside and do a little walking, once we up the ante a little bit and give a little bit more firm of corrections for it, he typically focuses in really nicely. Yeah. So you want to kind of start setting, or I should say starting your walk, setting the tone like that a little bit more, as opposed to like wait till he gets like kind of all spazzy and stuff, then try to like go up and match it. Okay. Right? Yeah. And that'll help you out a little bit, especially like coming here. He gets really excited to come here, which I love, obviously. I like that he likes the training.
Not like normal, like the first times I brought him here. Like,
oh, he's crazy. Yeah.
Drove me in the car, the backseat was drenched, I had like towels. Now it's like, he's like, okay, he like jumped right in. And
like I said, that's good. Like, I'm glad that he likes coming to training.
Loves it.
But if you can keep him a little bit more under control coming in, that's going to help you gain a lot of leverage with him because it is an exciting thing. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start the come command with him. Should be pretty straightforward. We've already kind of conditioned it in with the e-collar. Obviously, when we did the walking stuff, it's a very similar command, obviously. I'm just going to put a little bit more structure to it here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn down really low. We'll start at like a 2 or a 3 here. I'm going to create some distance. I'll tell him, come. See where he goes. Obviously, he's still predicting bed. If he doesn't do it, I'm going to hold the button down, help him to me. Come on. Release it once he gets next to me. Okay. Come. Come on, buddy. Okay. Come. Not quite. There we go. Okay. Come. Good. And that's what I want, just like that one. Okay? We're going to cycle back through all of the commands. So the sit stays, the bed stays, and the come commands to make sure you generalize this nicely between them. Sit. Sit. Good. Okay. Good. Okay. Come on. Jackson, come. There you go. Good job. Good job. Okay. That initial hesitation, it's just confusion. Obviously, he's not blowing me off, you know. Sweet. Not too shabby. I'll take it. He looks great. He's progressing well.
Yeah.
So, obviously the come command, big thing to start working on here. The only thing is do it in confined areas, obviously, at least until you really start to trust him with it, you know? And if you're going to do it somewhere that's not a confined area, I recommend using some sort of long leash, like we were doing. So, but he looks great. So keep it up.
Thank you so
Hopefully
much.
next time will be a little nicer out because he's pretty much hitting a point now. We got a couple more things to do inside with him, but a lot of the rest of the stuff here is going to be proofing, distractions and stuff, you know?
Yes, he's going to be awesome. He's going to be one of my faves for sure. He's a cuddle bug. Me and him literally spent like the first 5 minutes in there just cuddling. Don't tell Dave.
Easy bet. Good. Okay. Ben. Good. She was Pyrenees. I really thought that she was just like a retriever or something.
She's definitely a mix with something.
Oh, she's Pyrenees.
Pyrenees and something else. She's very stubborn.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's really it. She's a stubborn dog.
How old is she now?
She's just 2.
Does she have like hip issues?
I'm not sure.
Looks like she kind of gets around a little weird.
An old lady.
Yeah. A lot of these like larger breed dogs are really prone to like hip dysplasia issues and stuff.
She is just very headstrong. I think she's very smart.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, she has a ton of energy. We walk her all the time.
Sure.
And she still is super rambunctious.
Yeah.
She has anxiety, I think, about...
Yeah, you said the separation issues.
Yeah.
Hello?
She really likes queso a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Queso is fine with her, but sometimes it's like, stop talking to me. Other than that, I feel like she has the potential to be a great dog.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you said that she was having issues like breaking out of the crate and stuff. You've been just leaving her out and she's fine when she's just out?
Most of the time. Last week she started chewing up some like floorboard, which is like, it's a rental place. So
Yeah. Whenever we're working with dogs that have like separation anxiety issues, I'm obviously a big proponent of crates, just because like I said, like when you're not there, you're kind of constantly just playing this gamble of like, fingers crossed, like please don't chew something up, you know? The issue is she would need a particular kind of crate for it, and they're really expensive, like the heavy duty ones. But then you look at the contrary of like, it's cheaper than having all of the floor replaced and this and that. The kind of crate, depending on how horrible she is with it, the kind of crate you need, you'd probably be looking at about like $1,000 to $1,500.
Oh my God.
They're super expensive, you know? Like, it's ridiculous how pricey they are. A lot of times you could find like cheaper ones that are pretty heavy duty, like pre-owned and stuff, but they look like jail cells.
Yeah, right.
You know, so it's like, then you get into like the aesthetic of the giant jail cell crate that's in your house, you know?
Yeah, should we just like build her like a Harry Potter closet under a stairwell?
I mean, it's not a horrible idea.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, and that's kind of the problem. If she were a little bit smaller, they have like cheaper options that are pretty heavy duty. But once you get into like the larger breed dogs, yeah, like anything you get is going to be pretty freaking expensive, you know? So, well, I mean, whatever, you know, there's a couple different options and stuff. There's some that I could think of, they're probably in like the $800 range also, but there's regardless, it's going to be expensive,
still a lot.
you know. So that's something you could kind of weigh as we go about. Like if you start noticing this become a pattern that she's starting to like really chew things up and stuff, and we're not able to get a handle on it, you know. But the problem is, once a dog realizes they can get out of a crate, you're typically not going to get away with using that crate anymore. You know, because if you're gone for 6 hours, 7 hours, something like that, at some point she knows if she wants to get out of there, she's going to get out of there.
Yeah.
You know? So what we'll do today is I want to just see where she's at with stuff, and kind of work through some stuff. Is she... Okay. So it's good.
Yeah.
Obviously, we got, a decent amount of things to do with her, but she seems like she figures things out pretty well. So.
Good job.
Yeah, we're gonna end that on that. Good. Good job. Okay. Awesome. So what I want to do today is we're going to get started with the down. We'll see how she does with that.
Okay.
So this one she may do well with, she may have a hard time with, we'll see. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach it using the leash pressure here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick a spot. I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure down on the leash. And then just hold that steady until she starts to relieve it herself. Good. Okay. First one looks good. Yep. Good. Pretty good. Okay. Good. Okay. Good. Okay, awesome. So we're going to add the verbal command in next. So I'll pick my spot. Down. The down command. Give her a second to do it. If she doesn't, we'll apply leash pressure. Good. And reward. Okay. Let's go. Down. Good. Good. Okay. Come on. Let's go. Down. Good. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to start adding in her staying in that position. So just like with those sits, down. Good. Get her into command first. Drop the leash and leave her there. Good. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna pop this on her here next. Come here. And we're gonna start working some come commands.
Some what?
Come commands.
Oh, okay.
Get started on this one here today at least. So that looks great. Duration, really, really good, you know. I'm pretty impressed, especially for 2 sessions in, you know. So come command, really straightforward. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start pairing in come with leash pressure towards me. Yes. Once she gets over here, I'll mark with yes and give my reward. Okay. Come. Yes. Okay. Come. Yes. Okay. You can go ahead and pop her regular leash back on. She looks great. She really does. I mean, for 2 sessions, this is really not too bad. You know, we got her holding bed stays, doing down stays and stuff. So I'm pretty pleased with how this is looking so far, especially if you didn't work with her that much last week.
Somehow I feel like she's doing better than Lexi was doing.
I was just going to make a joke that she's going to be giving Lexi a run for her money by the end of this program.
I feel like she's doing a little bit better than Lexi, but...
She's got good motivation. Lexi, keep in mind, also started way younger, so we had to take our time. Like, that we were moving a lot slower through things because she was so little at that point, you know? So...
So much more destructive, baby.
Yeah. Lexi was a little bit of a pain initially.
She's no longer destructive.
Their temperament is very different. Like, you can tell Sammy's got much more kind of like sweet, eager to please temperament.
Yeah.
Lexi was just kind of feisty.
Oh, she
Yeah.
still is.
Yeah. But she looks awesome. So I want you working your bed stays and your down stays primarily. You could do a little bit of come command stuff with her, but we'll keep shaping that one next time more.
Okay.
And what we'll probably do is we're going to do one more session with just the food and the pinch collar, and then we will probably add in the e-collar after that.
The what?
The e-collar.
E-collar?
Yep. Yep.
Reminds you of Conway.
Yep. You're doing so good, though. You're doing so good. So good.